is an interactive process of constructing meaning that involves producing and receiving and processing information according to the study of Brown and Burns. Its form and meaning are different in the context in which it occurs, including the participants themselves, their collective experiences, and the physical environment, and the purposes for speaking. It is often spontaneous, open-ended, and evolving. However, speech is not always unpredictable. Language functions are patterns that tend to recur in certain discourse situations. For example, when your classmate asks, "May I help you?" the expected discourse sequence includes a statement of need, response to the need, offer of appreciation, acknowledgement of the appreciation, and a leave-taking exchange. Speaking requires that learners not only know how to produce specific points of language such as grammar, pronunciation, or vocabulary, linguistic competence, but also that they understand when, why, and in what ways to produce language.
Speaking is the delivery of language through the mouth. To speak, we create sounds using many parts of our body, including the lungs, vocal tract, vocal cords, tongue, teeth, and lips. Speaking is the second of the four language skills, which are listening and speaking. Example: the IPA or pronunciation that emphasizes the sound. A as in late. Alternate spelling for this sound. A as in pay, day, bay. The length of sound is long. Tongue is low. Lips are apart. Between teeth are spread widely. Mouth are tense.
What a good speaker does. A speaker's skills and speech habits have an impact on the success of any exchange. Speakers must be able to anticipate and then produce the expected patterns of specific discourse situations. They must also manage discrete elements such as turn-taking, rephrasing, providing feedback, or redirecting. For example, the instructor is discussing about the upcoming party of the block, and she expects that everyone will exchange ideas and feedback about the event.
Other skills and knowledge that instruction might address include the following: producing the sounds, stress patterns, rhythmic structures, and intonation of the language, using grammar structures accurately, assessing characteristics of the target audience, including shared knowledge or shared points of reference, status and power relation of participants, interest levels, or differences in perspectives, selecting vocabulary that is understandable and appropriate for the audience, the topic being discussed, and the setting in which the speech act occurs, applying strategies to enhance comprehensibility such as emphasizing keywords, rephrasing, or checking for listener comprehension, using gesture or body language, and paying attention to the success of the interaction and adjusting components of speech such as vocabulary, rate of speech, and complexity of grammar structures to maximize listener comprehension and involvement.
What are the types of speaking? When a person gives a speech before an audience to impart information on a particular topic or issue, it's said to be an informative speech. Business presentations, seminars in colleges, class presentations in schools are some examples of informative speeches. A person preparing for an informative speech has to research the subject or topic very well. It should be short and precise because long informative speeches easily bore the audience. The success of an informative speech will depend on how much the audience could understand from the speech.
Speaking to persuade. Persuasive speeches are those where you try to persuade or convince your audience about an idea or product. These speeches aim to influence and change the opinions of the audience. This can be a difficult task as you could be facing a group of people who may have totally different views from your own. The most important point that has to be kept in mind here is that if you want to influence others' views and ideas, you have to show your enthusiasm while speaking. However, you must remember that you are not there to wage war and should talk without hurting others' feelings. Persuasive speeches are often given by sales and marketing people to attract interest in their products. They are also used to influence political and religious views.
Speaking to actuate. Speaking to actuate is a higher level of persuasive speaking. Here, the speaker goes a step beyond persuasion and convincing. The aim is to motivate people enough to take a specific step, to act. This is a powerful level of speaking. Very few people have achieved this level of mastery of the art of persuasion, where they could so deeply convince people that they move into action. This type of speech is useful in conflict situations like war. It is also in action when the speaker not only tries to garner support for some cause or reason, but also wants the people he's speaking to join him in actualizing it through concrete action. It is characterized by a show of charisma, very strong words, and great emotional involvement and display of convictions.
A speech of this type typically does not rely on facts and figures, though they may be offered. The speaker's aim is to get his listeners so emotionally enthralled that they wholesomely adopt his idea, his principles, his reasoning as their and literally take up the cross and share his burden. Sometimes listeners may be so deeply moved that they take up the cause more seriously than even the person who's invited into it. This sometimes happens among militia groups where members of a mob would overthrow their leader, accusing him of not being aggressive enough. In a fight for their common cause, they go on to introduce tougher measures to the dismay of their disposed leader. This is the pinnacle of persuasive speaking and indeed of public speaking.
Speaking to entertain. Ceremonial speeches are another form of public speaking, usually given at weddings, funerals, graduation parties, retirement parties, and etc. One very important factor to make these speeches effective is to add a personal touch. One gives these speeches for people one knows, and it would be great if one can bring in stories and incidents about the respective person. The speech can be humorous, touching, or emotional, as per the occasion and the mood. However, one should take utmost care not to hurt feelings by making snide remarks about them.
There are main types of sounds, and these are stop sounds or plosives, fricatives, sonorant, and glottal stop. Stop sounds or plosives are sounds produced by completely obstructing the airflow in the vocal tract. Affricate, special type of stop sound. Sound is initially stopped and then suddenly released with friction. Fricatives are sounds produced with friction, when there is a slight opening between the articulator and the point of articulation. Sibilant, special kind of fricative. Sonorant is a speech sound that is produced without turbulent airflow in the vocal tract. Special kinds of sonorant includes vowels, step vowels, nasal, and laterals.